video of Don Allen III live. Today, I'm going to show you how I built this tool for motion designers that lets you create custom motion graphics. And I used AI to make the code that makes this app. And I've been using this to create all sorts of really cool visual effects for a project that I'm working on. And so I made an AI tool that lets me procedurally make these animations. And I'm going to show you a little bit about that process. And what I do with this, I mean, it's pretty remarkable. You can like change the width, you can change the types of geometry that you want. And I built this tool all with Claude by Anthropic. And I think we're at this point in time now where if you are aware of these tools, if you learn about how to use AI, you can build your own tools for creating all sorts of new things. So I created this tool that lets me create the procedural geometry right inside the web browser. And then I even made all these like presets, and I even made a randomizer. So if you just are in a rush, you need to quickly make some visuals. And I'll show you how I'm actually using these. So I screen record it, and then I bring it into my traditional tools like Adobe After Effects, where I then get this. So this is the output. So I screen recorded Claude, and then if I hit play, this is the animation I was able to generate using this pipeline. So you can make some pretty insane stuff. And I just added a lot of VHS and glowing effects inside of After Effects on top of the screen recordings of Claude. So the whole idea here is you don't need to replace your entire human creativity. In fact, I think the whole plan here is to, I guess, add to your creative process. That's the whole thing. We got a question from Katya, says, love the ideas. Chad says, can't wait. Okay, I'll set that up later. Okay, cool. So yeah, we're gonna continue making some more animations, and I'll just show you my little process. I need to make these for an app that I'm working on. And yeah, that's kind of the context. So I made these ones. I also made this one, these two down here. And so you can kind of see that I have some nice like glowing effects. You can see how there's a little bit of that hiss on there. And I want to show you a little bit about how I make these. So don't get scared away by Adobe After Effects. The only thing we did in After Effects was add glowing effects. So I want to show you what this looked like before I added the glowing effects, so you get that context, because context is really important here. So let me go to full resolution, and then let's go ahead and fill the screen up to 200%. Cool. All right, so let me show you an earlier version. I'm gonna hide this layer, Let's go to this one. Okay, so this layer, for example, has all the glowing effects added to it. And then if I go back to, let me go to fit. Okay, here we go. So with this loaded up, what it looks like, let me turn off my grids here so I can see it a little bit better. There we go. And I'll get rid of my guides so that they're not confusing the graphics at all. Okay, so you see this like visual here, right? This has all the effects added. So I'm gonna turn off the effects to show you what this thing looks like without all of that stuff. So I'm gonna go to this layer here and then turn off all the effects. And look at that. That's the actual screen recording I captured with this tool. And so I built this tool inside of Claude, and now I can make graphics. So here is the tool running. I actually sent it to all the team members at my company so they can actually build retro motion graphics quickly. But let's go ahead and just restart from scratch. I'm just gonna refresh the Claude application that I made. So it starts off blank, and then what you do is you go to one of the presets that I made, and you have the ability to control like the width. So I can start off with these ocean waves that I made. If you wanna adjust the camera, I have this tool to rotate and snap in 15-degree increments using the rotation slider over here. So you see I can rotate in like 15 degrees at a time. And when I do that, I'm getting these different angles. I also have the projection mode set to perspective, but you can change it to orthographic if you want to create that really flat looking view for like retro style graphics. And so if I set this to like 0 degrees and 0 degrees, you get like no rotation, right? But if I set the X rotation to maybe 45 degrees, something like this, and set the Y rotation to 45 degrees, then you get this kind of orthographic animation. I made this app for motion graphics designers for my team, and I used AI to code it. So this is my 60-second version of my app, and I've been actually using it in production for an app that I'm working on with my company. And I'm just showing you how powerful this app is, and I can't even code. I just described the kind of things I wanted, and because I have some background in animation, I know what kinds of buttons I need, I know what kinds of control that I want. So for example, I made it so that I made it so all these little sections are collapsible, and I, again, do not know how to code, so this would be a very daunting task. But I know in general for this procedural tool, I wanted to have presets, so if I was in a rush, I could just quickly press one of these. I wanted to have a section to affect just the geometry. So let's say I really like the color and I like the movement, but I want to change the geometry from plane to a sphere. Look at that, it swaps all three of those with spheres. Maybe I want to swap it with the height, so I can adjust the height and the width and the depth of my spheres. You can also click randomize geometry, so it kind of cycles through all sorts of different geometry nodes inside here. Then I have, so let's say I'm done with geometry, I can collapse it. Then I have another section called layers. This is how many extra layers of geometry there are, so by default there's one. You said, what AI did you use? I used Claude to make the whole thing. Yeah, this is all Claude. And so then if I go to layer spacing, I can increase or decrease the number of layers here. Now let's say you want to get a better camera angle. You can rotate manually, or you can just randomize the camera. So I made some camera angles that are going to be right down the barrel, and you can look at the object that way. Then we have this visual effects section. If I randomize them, I can create points on the clouds and kind of add different pulsing effects. And then finally, I have a randomize all. So when I randomize all, we're given, kind of any setting, and we can play with whatever we want to create. So I'm going to take a look at so we're at top view. Let's say we rotate the camera a little bit. Okay, so that's from the quarter angle view. Let's zoom out. Let's play with the vertex color, and let's play with maybe make it a little bit like a red or something, make it a little bit brighter, a red or an orange. There we go. So we've got a nice red pulse there. Then let's turn on the bounding box. You can see the whole graphic. I'm going to turn on the dot blinking effect. I'm going to go to the box color and turn it into maybe a yellow facade. Great. Now let's go to the scan lines. I want to have a scan line that kind of passes through the objects. Let's go ahead and enable scan lines. And look at that. Now you see a green scan kind of goes through them. I don't want it to be green though. I'm going to make this to cyan. That looks pretty cool. Now let's go to our camera and rotate the camera around. So, ooh, that looks cool. Let's go right over there. Let's try to rotate on the y-axis. And so I made this whole 3D visualizing tool by just talking to the AI today. And these are all graphics that I needed for the app. And so what I do is I would find the kind of shape that I like, then I would screen record it, bring it into After Effects, where then I go and apply all sorts of VFX techniques. And that's how I made all of these graphics. So I kind of started off in that tool, screen recorded it on a black screen, and then proceeded to add glowing effects inside of After Effects. And that's how I made all of these loading visualizers for an app that I'm working on. But the idea that's so nuts is that I could send this app that I made to the entire team, and now we can all make graphics with it that are completely different and customized, but still aligned with kind of the visual aesthetics that I had set up earlier today. And so that's kind of the power of this workflow. It's quite insane that this even works at all. And I don't think I have fully grasped the implications of being able to make an app that you can then run and then share with people. So I'm just going to keep playing. So let's go to the scan line. I like the colors. Let's go to the edges. If we go to show edges, turn off show vertices. So now we're left with just the vertices. I'm going to go back to show edges. Then for the vertices thickness, we're going to go to the vertices. Go to animation. You can add enable ripple. Awesome. I'm going to go to the camera angles, and let's just randomize the cameras until we get a really cool angle. So I'm just going to keep hitting the randomize cameras. So you can just see how just hitting the randomize gives you lots of different, at least for me, gives me lots of different ideas of directions the visuals could go. Okay, next what I'm gonna do is we're gonna take the scan that we just made. Oh, Florian writes, are you going to show your process of working with the AI for this? Yeah, it's right here. We're actually still inside of Claude. So I built this whole tool in Claude, and I just been having conversations with it all day. Let me see. So my first prompt was I gave it these images of some artwork that my team member sent for inspiration. They really liked this kind of animation. So I showed it 4 screenshots of the animated states. Then I found a website, or I found an interface that I kind of liked. So I said I wanted sliders that have like the wave scale, 3D layers, a Z rotation. I gave it this interface. These are screenshots, by the way. I gave it a screenshot of an interface along with 4 screenshots of the animation I want to see. And then I gave it this prompt. I would like to create a 3D grid visualizer that can create cascading ripples throughout it. The way to visualize the cascade will be by changing the thickness of the lines as they go across the polygon surface. We'll start off with 1 layer, and then we want the ability to add multiple layers with a slider, with the ability to change the spacing between those layers afterwards. It's also important that we can show and hide all of the slider controls from the screen so that we're left with a mostly blank background, followed by our visual. We also want the ability to isolate rotations of individual layers so that we can rotate along each axis and auto and control the speed. So that was the prompt that I gave. So look at all this interface, friends. This is what a prompt is today. I gave it 4 images of an animated state. I gave it a user interface that I would like to have built. I gave it another palette that had color codes in here, so you can actually give it the actual hex codes that you want to use. And with all of that, it started to make the app. And then I basically have been building this tool out, and this is now my version 62. So I should show you what my version 1 was, just so you can see how much it has changed. But now I have this tool that can make these procedural animations, and it's freeing. I see Rourke just joined. Hello, Rourke. What's your best advice to get better at natural prompting? Currently use ChatGPT as my prompt assistant. Great question. The best way I found is to use the app Super Whisper, because then you can speak to your computer at any speed and not have to think about every word and have to wait. So I use Super Whisper so I can hit Option Spacebar, and then I can speak at any speed to kind of get the idea out of my head, put it out onto the screen, and then that's been my easiest way to get natural prompting. All of my prompting is done through Super Whisper. What I like about it is that you can run it locally on your laptop, so you don't have to be sending your queries to a cloud server and having it be analyzed. You can run it locally on your laptop, and then whatever text field your cursor is in, it will then populate the text field with whatever you spoke. And that is so freeing, because then you can speak at any speed. I'll give you an example. So like, I can click up here. I'll zoom in all the way. So let's say I click right here. You see my mouse over here? I click right there, and then I hit Option Spacebar. You'll hear that beep sound, and this is the interface. And now I can speak at almost any speed. And so I'm talking, and I have a lot of words to say, blah, blah, blah. All right, and then when I'm done, I hit the same key, Option Space, and look at that. It pastes that entire prompt at the full speed with proper commas and punctuations, and that is how I prompt. It allows me to speak. Yes, the app is called Super Whisper. It allows me to speak at any speed that I like, in any language that I like, and just talk to the machine without having the machine wait for me to kind of go piece by piece. I almost can't type anymore without it. And and so far I think it's free unless you pay for all their cloud stuff. They have a lot of functionalities outside of just the text feature, but I think you have to pay for those. I'm still using the free version, and it's been fantastic. Great question, Gork. All right, so we have this visual now, right? And I just want to show you what my oldest version was. So that we're on version 62, right? But let me show you my version 1. So I've made a lot of versions today. Each of these were just different discussions I had with the AI, but here's my version 1. So my version 1 of the app, you can see it looked pretty cool, but look at how few features it had. All I had was the ability to control the number of layers, the spacing between the layers, the grid size, and the ripple speed. So let me go ahead and try it. So let's play with the number of layers. I increase it. Awesome. Let's play with the layer spacing. I can decrease it or increase it. Awesome. Let's play with the grid size. Increase, decrease, increase. Great. Let's play with the ripple speed. Crank it up, crank it down, ripple speed. All right, let's play with the ripple amplitude. Great. Let's play with the speed rotation of the thickness. I'm gonna reduce the rippling speed right there. There we go. Now let's turn on rotation on the Y for that layer, rotation on the Y for this layer, rotation on the Y for that layer, and last but not least, rotation on the Y axis for this layer. And so now, just like that, I have this custom animation. And so then what I was doing was just simply recording the screen on this black background, right? Almost like making your own screensaver, record it, bring it into After Effects, and apply glowing effects. But each time I went through versions, I needed more and more functions. So let's skip from version 1, let's skip to version 10. Suddenly I have the ability to add noise. Noise is a type of amplitude that changes the evenness of the polygons. So having noise added allowed me to, I'm gonna go ahead and zoom in a little bit closer. We can play with that ripples, but now everything isn't so even, which is what I wanted. I wanted to have more bumpiness, more jagged edges. You can play with the noise scale. So you can make it smooth if you wanted to, or you could crank it up and make it really rough. You can play with the gradient speed. So is it smooth or is it gonna be gradually sharper? We could play with the axis that we want it to be. We can enable a pulse effect. So now it kind of pulses on those sharp points. I can play with that ripple speed, grid size, layer spacing, all the same features, but we kind of just stack them up, right? So that was my version 10. Let's skip now from version 10 to my 20th version of the app. Now, I made it so that it only snaps to 15-degree increments, which is one of my favorite ways of working in any 3D modeling app. I usually like to snap to 15 degrees. I don't want to see every rotation. So you can see that as I move my mouse, it's snapping the rotation of this object just to 15-degree increments. We can also have the ability to show vertices this time, so we can actually see the dots that make up those points. And so having access to the vertices, those pink dots, and the edges, the blue, that gave us a lot of flexibility to make even cooler animations. I also added the ability to lock the camera because I was tired of the camera moving right when I found the position that I liked. So now I could have a mixture of animations added to the effect. We could play with the noise scale, enable a pulsing effect, and suddenly we had a really nice animation. That was version 20. Let's go to version 30 of our app over here. So now same idea, you kind of move it around, you kind of choose to lock the camera position. Now I made it so that you can snap from perspective to orthographic. Now an orthographic camera allows you the flexibility to flatten any of the views. And so I made it so that you can actually change the camera position to a left view, a top view, a bottom view, which looks the same, a front view, right? So I wanted to have multiple, yes, Claude is the name of the AI tool that I used to build this. So let's skip ahead from version 30 to version 40, kind of getting close to where we're at today. Now I added all these presets. I was tired of remaking all these things, so I decided to make presets that once one of these are pressed, it automatically changes all the settings to some spots that I really liked. So this one creates like an ocean wave pattern. This one makes like almost like a heartbeat. This one makes a digital matrix. This one looks more like a nebula. This one makes like a minimal grid. And this one makes a really chaos area. And then this one's more like a crystal. And when I made these presets, it allows me to start from having all the settings kind of adjusted to some cool settings that I like, but they still have the flexibility to change. So if I need to change that vertex size, you can. If I needed to hide the edges, you can be left alone. If I needed to play with the ripple speed, you still have that. If I need to change that isometric camera to zoom in or zoom out, so I still have all that flexibility. We can go to that rotation, have it locked there, change it from perspective to orthographic. And then we can play with the rotation here. And all that is to say that, we can make really cool graphics. right? So yeah, so if we skip and fast forward to version 50, we just got more controls. I added more groupings. I added a randomize all, so you can just click randomize and it randomizes all the settings, cameras, objects, and interconnectedness, how close the camera is. And this was just so that you can create a lot of visuals very quickly if you needed to. And now we're at version 62. That kind of brings us back up to speed. And on version 62, we can kind of continue where we left off. So we got our layers and crystals. Cool. So let's say we wanted to add more functionality to this. I'm now going to talk to the AI and add more functions. So one thing that I would like to add is more motion graphics controls. So one thing that would be cool would be to add, I was going to say adding physics, but maybe I want to add particles or a delay. So let's see if we can do that. So I go over here to the chat field. I'm just going to split screen it here. And on the chat side, I click down in the chat in Claude, and then I'm going to hit that tool to trigger the voice control, and I'll just speak what kind of change I want to have made to my app. So here we go. Hey, so I would like to add a better UI design that's easier for motion graphics designers to get more motion out of individual vertices. What I'm looking for is the ability to pulse and animate. I also want to have different types of motion controls. I also want the ability to ease in and ease out animations and play with loops. I also want to add functionality to add delay to create these kind of rippling effects. I also want the ability to create particles that drift behind edges or vertices. So if you can add that functionality, that would be great. All right, so I wrote my prompt. That's my whole prompt that I just spoke into existence. And then I go to my AI and send it in. And now the AI is going to start understanding, trying to decide what my request was. And it's going to think about it. There it is. And now it's going to start writing all of the code to modify my app. So it's actually coding, right now. So you can kind of see it doing all of its code. I need to turn off Do Not Disturb. Give me one moment. When I'm live streaming, I try not to be disturbed with notifications. They drive me nuts. So I'm going to turn off focus, Do Not Disturb. There we go. Okay, and so while the app is coding, you can go do something else. And that's what I've been doing. So I'd go back to my tool like Adobe After Effects and start preparing my scenes. Maybe I got to work on some other project, or I need to check in with a team member. And so that's kind of the workflow. You kind of work for a little bit with an idea in mind. You then give it some notes to the AI. And then while the AI is coding and writing that app, I go and focus on a different part of the production pipeline. I might check in with team members, turn off notifications, whatever else you gotta do. Take a bathroom break, eat a snack, go for a run. Things to get your body physically moving, things to keep you active. And I do that while my AI is kind of doing the part of the process that I struggle with, which is I don't know how to code. I don't want to focus on that part of my creative process. But I need to have some coding functionalities, so I employ my AI tool to write some code for me based off of the effects that I want to create. And so it's still writing. I still see it working. So let's just take a look. So I can literally see it writing lots and lots of code now. And I see that it's still thinking because that animation is still looping over there. That's how you know that the Claude tool is still processing. It's still crunching the numbers. It's improving it. And what's cool is if you are a coder, we got a question from Florian. Florian writes, when will your app be released? Can you tell me more about it? It's for my company. We're about to launch our clean video model, and I've been making some graphics for the user interface of that new app. So I don't know if our company has publicly stated when we're going to release our clean video model, but that's what I was working on. And I just thought it was an interesting process today that I was able to make animations for the app by first using AI to help code an app that I would need, that we then handed to our other motion designers at our studio who are now using that app that I made earlier, version 62, to kind of make new animations for the app. It's insane that this process even works, and it's exciting. We got a question from Joshua. It says, what got you interested in AI? I love AI as well. Yeah, honestly, for me, what got me interested in was fear initially. I have a lot of 3D background and a lot of motion graphics background, and in like 2 years ago, I forgot how long this AI revolution had started. There was like a scary week when an AI model was able to do almost all the stuff that I was doing visually for a client, and it freaked me out so much that I was like, I need to learn this stuff and get on board. And so after that scare, I decided to start integrating different AI tools in my pipeline. I try to put a past version of myself out of work based on new skills that I learned today with AI. So that's the whole motto. I shouldn't, I'll feel like I'm stagnating if I am still doing stuff the same way that I did a month ago. In my mind, that means I'm not learning enough. If I'm still doing things the same way I was doing it a month ago, that's a bad sign. Okay, cool. The app just finished writing, so let's take a look. Oh, it just crashed. It says, "Aw, snap." No worries, I will refresh the screen. Let's take a look at the app. Is it running? Let's go ahead and run. It's called Cloud Artifacts. Okay, cool. Looks like the app is running. Let's go ahead and try Crystal. Great. Awesome. And let's kind of scroll through here and see what's going on. So we have our geometry. Let me see, randomized geometry. That's looking great. The function is working. Great, let's try the width and height. I'm gonna reduce that density, change the width. Great, change the height. Great, that is working properly. Change the depth. Let's try our minimal grid, digital matrix, a nebula. Let me go back to digital matrix, and I'm gonna randomize the camera. Cool. All right, camera seems to be working. Let's do our visual effects. Awesome. Whoa, that's a cool effect. Okay. Bounding box on off. Looks good. Scan lines enabled. Let's go ahead and enable scan lines. Awesome. Animation randomize. Whoa. That's really cool. Whoa, I love the pink and green. And then what's this vertex animation? Let's say enable vertex animation. Animation speed doesn't really seem to do anything. Loop duration, continuous, let's try ping pong. How about once? Or ease in quad. Looks like the vertex animation is not doing anything. So let's enable particles. Oh, wow, particles work now. We have particle life is set to 3 seconds. Particle speed is set to 1. I'll go ahead and increase the particles. Particle trail, let's set it to fade. Particle size. Let me find a different camera angle. Go to, we'll collapse visual effects. Collapse, okay, camera, let's go ahead and randomize the camera. All right, cool, so we now have particles that we've added to my system, which I love. Let me switch to an orthographic camera. Awesome, awesome. And I can rotate that way. I'm gonna rotate 45 degrees here and rotate 45 degrees there. Great, that's a cool angle. I'm gonna reduce the number of layers. So we'll go to the layer type and just reduce this to 1. Cool. Now I'm gonna play with the initial shape. Let's go to a sphere. Interesting. Let's try a plane. Okay, love the plane shape. Now we'll go to the visual effects tab. For the edge color, I'm gonna set this to orange, kind of like a dark orange. Then for the vertex color, I'm gonna set this to a bright orange. Great, and then for the wipe, the scan lines, I'm gonna set that from green We're gonna set the green into maybe a red. No, how about a white? There we go. So now we get this kind of white scan that goes across the animation. Great. Now go to the ripple speed. Let's increase the ripple speed. Now I want to increase the gradient spread. Looks like that's a little bit softer gradient. And then for the pulse of the animation, looks like that's not doing anything. I'll have to fix that. All right, let's go to our delay. If I turn on radial delay, oh, it's for the particles, I see. Interesting. So let's go to our particles are set to vertices. Let's set them to edges. Awesome. For the particle color, just for now, I'm gonna set them to bright yellow, just so I can see them. They're set to fade. Let's try streak. Oh, interesting. Like stretch. Let's try glow. Don't see anything. Let's try fade. Interesting. Let's try none. Okay, none seems to make the particles appear. Let's go to particle size. I'm going to reduce them to 7. I'm going to reduce these all to 1. That's cool. And then particle count, let's increase this to 200. Let's go to particle speed, increase that particle speed, and increase that particle size a little bit. Wow, so you can really do quite a bit here. I'm going to set this particles to white. Make the particle size a little bit smaller. Particle trail, let's set it to fade. Great. And then we have a rotational layer. We can add rotation to our object. Good, good, good. Now we'll go to the delay amount. I don't know what this is going to do. Loop is 6 seconds. Let's make it 1 second. Awesome. Animation intensity. Don't know what this is doing. Let's try spiral. All right, let's go to the noise scale. Oh wow, so that kind of creates this little pulsing effect here. Love the color change. If I turn off enable ripple, okay. Scan lines. Let's continue doing scan lines. Let's set it to vertical. There we go. So the scan line kind of takes a little bit longer now to kind of pulse across the screen. Now I'm going to go to the zoom effect and zoom in a little bit closer. Great. We're going to turn off show vertices or show edges. So now we're just left with those points. I'm going to go to the scan speed, maybe make it a little bit slower. I also want to increase the number of objects. I'm going to increase that density. Nice. Then we're going to play with the size of those vertices. So we'll go to vertex size and shrink them down. Great. Great. We've got the pulse working through them. Good, good, good. Let's go to show bounding box. I'll go ahead and turn off the bounding box. Okay. And now we'll go to our spinning thing. Spin random. Interesting. Okay, spin particle speed. I don't see any particles now. Let's turn off layer rotation. Oops, let's see if we can get it back into that position here. 3, 2, 1, click. Great. Got a question from Florian. Says, that's so impressive, amazing work. What sources or strategy would you recommend to stay up to date with all the new tools and their potential? I mean, mostly you just have to keep building stuff. I know that might sound like counterproductive, but like I only learned that you could do this because I was tinkering with it, and all of a sudden it started to like work. And then I was like, oh, this is a thing now. So I kind of want to recommend the best way to learn this stuff is you just have to keep playing with the tools. I mean, that's how I've learned everything. I didn't know that it could do this today. Like I learned everything I'm showing you today, right now, all this functionality. is stuff that I just learned today. So it's like, I don't know how I would have been able to keep up with that if I wasn't experimenting. So my advice to you is experiment like crazy, because it is the experimenting process that will keep you up to date. If you're not experimenting, it will be hard to stay up to date because like the tools keep changing, right? Okay, cool. So I just made this shape here. Let's see if we can add a rotation to the whole thing. So rotate on the y-axis. Oh, that's cool. It's per section. Oh, wow. I can do 2 sections. And then let's do this third one. 3, 2, go. All right. And then I'll turn off the bounding box, which is throwing off my brain. Where's the bounding box? Turn that off. Motion graphics, enable scan line. Okay, we'll keep scan lines. Show traveling lines, get rid of that. Show bounding box off. All right, and then I made a hide control so you can hide that. Look at that. That's pretty neat. Yes. All right, let's take a look at any other stuff we want to add functionality-wise. Let's go and add some particle stuff. Okay, ease out quad, animation, enable ripple. Whoa, oh that's cool. That's a ripple and a pulse. Let's just do ripple so it kind of stays constant. Ooh, that's pretty. Let's go to ripple speed. Whoa. How about ripple amplitude? Oh, I see. So this kind of cranks up that value there. Let's increase the noise. Wow, it's like it's alive. Gradient speed, what is that? Oh, I see. It's the gradient of the randomness. Wow. Okay, let's do pulse intensity. Let's increase it. Whoa, so now it's like, and then we got the pulse rate is at 32 BPM. Let's do 60 BPM. How about 80 or 90 BPM? See, this is so cool. You build a tool, and then all of a sudden starts making stuff. Rourke writes, "Our podcast inspired me to make a creative piece. I'd love to send it you to take a look before it goes live. Where's best to send it?" If you direct message it to me, that would be great. I'd love to take a look at what you were inspired to make. Let's play with that scan color. What if it was red? What does that do? Scan is very hard to detect now. Red was the wrong way. Let's try cyan. Cyan scan 3, 2. Whoa, that's kind of cool. Looks kind of alive. Let's try diagonal. Oh, that's an interesting way of doing things. How about radial? Oh, now they're all the same. Whoa, it looks like the core of it. Wait, that's actually really sweet. Show travel lines. What is this? And then let's turn on edges and turn off vertices. So now we're left with this really cool effect here. What if we do the opposite? So now it's just the vertices, no edges. Okay, so I would say I'm pretty happy with this. So then what I do is I hide controls, and then I quite literally go to screen record. Oh, did I just crash it? I might have just crashed it. There we go. I go to screen record. So I do Shift Command 5, and then I move this box, which is just the Mac OS screen record feature, and I just kind of move it around my object to a nice comfortable zone right about there. Great, and then we just hit record in 3, 2, 1. And so while it's recording, I'm gonna kind of let the thing move around for a few seconds. It's just doing its thing. I'm screen recording my own Mac computer because I don't know how to export video from my apps, but I can make something cool visually. And as long as the frame rate looks good visually, we could just screen record. And then when you screen record, we have a new video that we can now play with in our other animation tools. That's the whole thing. You use this as a starting of your process. Okay, so I'm gonna hit the stop button, bam. And now we're gonna go into Adobe After Effects. So all of these animations that you see were made the same way. and I'll show you how friendly this is now. So I go to After Effects, and I go to first import the asset that we just screen recorded. So I just do a Command I, and I go to the downloaded section, and then there is the screen recorder. I'm gonna kind of let the thing move around for a few seconds. It's just, right, that's the screen record. I go ahead and hit open. I then jump into the pre-comp that has all of the motion stuff added, and I just add this right into the scene. Right about there. There it is. Then we're gonna hit the scale button, and I scale it down to fit inside of a nice square canvas. That way I can use this as like a nice loading screen. Cool. Looks like it's flowing pretty nice. Then I turn on my guides, so I know if it's centered in the canvas. Looks like it's not centered, so I'm just going to hold Shift and kind of, nudge it into the center region. Great, and then I'm gonna look for it to complete a shape. Maybe about there is kind of close. And we'll hit the N key, and then we'll see if it flows. I'm gonna kind of let the thing move around for a few seconds. It's just doing its thing. I'm gonna turn off my audio, so now it's just the visuals of the screen recording. And then the preset I'm using in After Effects to create that really cool retro glow effect is really these three glowing effects together. I'm using a tool called Uni.EdgeGlow, Uni-Edge-Glow 2, and Uni-VHS. These all come with the tool Red Giant. So if you go to Effects, they're a part of the Red Giant software under the Red Giant VFX, and then you can apply this effect yourself. This is not a cheap plugin, unfortunately, but it is how I'm getting that VHS kind of look. It's using Red Giant. The RG stands for Red Giant. And I just copy all three of these effects. Boom, hit copy. And then I go to my new layer, this one right here, and then I paste it. And boom, it creates that really nice signature VHS kind of look, just like that. And then I just kind of scale it up so it fits the entire square canvas. See how it's like not totally fitting the square canvas? So we're going to set this to 100%, and then I'm just gonna keep scaling it up until we fit the canvas. Oops. Great. And now that square fits inside of the main square. I might nudge it around a little bit manually. And now I have a new procedural looking animation with some really cool VFX. And then I export this video as like a little square tile. And then I can send this to my team, and they can use this inside of the app that we're building. That is how I'm doing it. Now the rendering takes a little bit longer, right? Because it has to apply that VHS effect to every frame. So what you're seeing is it plays back slow while it's applying the effect. This green bar down here is what parts are rendered at full speed. So you have to kind of wait for it to be done. So don't mind me, I'm just gonna wait for this green bar to go all the way across. This is the old school way of animating and doing rendering and stuff. But what I like to do is these hybrid workflows where we work with an AI tool to get something, then we bring this into our traditional animation tools and creative software to do it differently, to add stuff that the AI is not adding. And that way you kind of have this creative partnership. So you're not just hitting a button, you're hitting some buttons, and then you're using your creative tools, and then you're mixing and matching. I call this the hybrid AI workflows. I'm not the biggest fan of purely AI workflows. I'm more of a fan of hybrid workflows. All right, so now that it's done playing back, we can see it in full speed and see if we like it. That looks pretty sweet. Great. And then I can then export that video, and I'll send it to the team. And if they want to use that for a different part of the app, they can. That's how this works. I mean, that looks really, really sweet. All right, I'm gonna go to File, Export, Add to Media Encoder Queue. I'm gonna call this one a new name. and I'll call this square load number 8. Square load underscore 8. Oops, 8. And then we'll hit export. And so now that 8th version is exporting now, and I'll be able to send that video to the team, and they'll be able to use that in the app if they decide to. That's the whole technique. Now this goes a lot further than what I showed, but I want to give you that idea, that kind of framework to show that you can use these techniques in this hybrid workflow, and it's kind of magical. Like, I don't know how to code that. And if we had to count how big that code base is, like how big is the actual, like how many lines of code is this app? Let me take a look. All of this, all of this, all of this, all of this, all of this was all the code that was written in order to make this app, and I don't understand any part of it. And that's kind of the good news. If you're someone without a coding background, if you start leveraging AI, you will not need to know exactly what you're doing. Well, it depends. If you're in safety and security, then definitely you should like go learn that. But for me, just making a creative AI tool, like a little art tool, I don't fully need to understand all of the code base to make it do that. It's kind of like irrelevant. In fact, the coding for me would get in the way of creating. So for things like this, since the coding part of this does not bring me joy or fulfillment, that's where you want to throw AI at stuff. So in general, for me, anything that kind of like brings me less fulfillment in my creative like workflows, my creative pipeline, I like to throw AI at that so that I can kind of stay focused on the parts that I really enjoy of my creative process. So that's kind of how I think about using these techniques together, is you focus on the creative so that, you know, you can have some fun with your designs. All right, I'm gonna add some more effects to this. So I'm gonna go back to the app and take a look at the latest version of the code. And now I'm going to, oh weird, it's giving me a bunch of errors. Version 67 is giving me errors. Let's go back to version 66 when it was still working. That one's broken too. Let's try version 65. Oh wow, all of these are broken. Let's try version 60. I'm not sure why our app has broken. Let me refresh the console. Okay, so what I'm going to do is maybe go back really far to version 62, which I know was working earlier. It's weird that nothing is visualizing now. It must have heard me saying I don't need to understand all the buttons, and then it was like, all right, try this error, and then I don't know what to do. Well, I could just start from scratch. I'm just going to close Claude all the way. And then, close Claude all the way, and then we're just gonna open up Chrome back. I found that this has been working when it crashes on me. So I'm just gonna reopen the Chrome browser, go back to Claude, take a look at the app that we built a moment ago, see if it is still broken after we've done a refresh of the console. There it goes, it's back. Okay, cool. And great. Now we're going to do some more stuff to this visual tool. I want to create the ability of creating shaders out of this. So right now we've only been doing wireframes, and now I want to create actual faces that reflect lighting. So I'm going to see if I can code that in here now. This looks great for wireframe. I want a visual toggle to go between wireframe and point cloud view. I also want to do one that's solid shaded, and I want the ability to move a light source or a sun around to change the lighting angle on the new faces. The solids should have the ability to have opacity adjustments and reflectivity adjustments. You can call this the material section. So we want to add a new section called material that will let us control the material properties of the whole scene. We want another section that controls just the background. We want a background section that can set a gradient that can either be linear, radial, or diagonal with 2 different colors that can be chosen. And yeah, let's start with that. All right, so I'm going to send my command. It's now going to try to rewrite my entire app based off of those new commands. So it's thinking, it's processing that text, and then now the AI is going to start drafting a new version of my app. So you can see it opens up the code base and it's deleting sections, it's adding new lines. If you were a coder, you'd be able to make sense of all this. Since I'm not, I just have to play the waiting game. So literally what I usually do while my AI is coding, I usually just go to play piano or something. So I'm just gonna play piano while I wait for the app to be done being written. It's a really fun workflow where I get to stay basically creating, which would be my ideal zone, and less time just kind of waiting for stuff to break, you know? Still coding, still waiting for the app to be done. For the app to finish coding. Oh, it's done. Cool. Oh, it broke. So that's part of the process. It just finished the app and then it said, oh snap. So we're gonna refresh the page and see if the app is still working. Let's see what we got. There's the artifact open, and let's see what we got. We hit randomize. Okay, cool. So the app still works. And let's see if it has the new functionalities that we just asked for, which were, not the camera. Let's see, visual effects. Whoa, that's really cool. I like that green. Let's keep randomizing the visual effects. Looks pretty cool, but yeah, I don't see a section to control the lighting. See a vertex animation section, vertice count, particle count, enable particles, Cool. Particle life 2, particle speed. Okay, and then particle tail, fade. Okay, not what I'm looking for. There's a, let me collapse everything. So we have our ocean waves, heartbeat, nebula, minimal grid, chaos, digital grid, crystals, and we got cylinder. Let's try cube. How about randomize all these geometry bits? Okay. I don't see any lighting controls. Mesh emissive is not a property of this material. Randomize layers. I don't see any options. Let's see, randomize camera. All pretty cool. Randomize effects. Nothing's changing the lighting. Randomize the animation. Yep. Motion graphics set to pulse, continuous, delays and offsets. Vertices, let's go to edges. Okay, I would say this didn't work. I don't see any functionality changing the lighting of the whole scene. So what I'll do is I'll copy all of the code in this app. I don't know. Okay, so you can download it as an HTML file, or what I'm gonna do is just do select all. I don't know how many lines of code this is, but it's a lot. It's a lot of code. And what I'm gonna do is hit copy, and we're gonna open this up with a different AI tool like Gemini by Google. And I'm gonna copy my code base into Gemini. Actually, you know what? Before I do that, I'm gonna copy it into ChatGPT and turn on the smartest coding model that I know of. This one's called this AI model is called O3 Pro. It's the best at doing comprehensive reasoning that I know of right now. So I go to ChatGPT and I turn on O3 Pro. This is a paid feature. Then what I'm gonna do is give it my command and then my code. So here we go. I coded this app with some AI tools and I want to have even more functionality added to it. What I'm looking for is essentially the ability to render lighting information on the faces as solids, and kind of like in 3D programs where you can change it from wireframe to solid view to vertices only to edges only. I want to add that functionality as new buttons I can toggle in the visual effects section. Overall, I would like the code to be revised to make it better, make it a better user experience with better spacing. Still the same ability to hide all of the UI and get all that cool animation stuff. And if there's any other creative sections to add, pretend that you are a 10x coder and you want to take this app to the next level, creating really incredible visual effects for the user. Okay, so that's my prompt, right, in ChatGPT. Then I'm gonna paste that entire code base of that entire app, and then let's run it. All right, so O3 by ChatGPT is gonna start processing this. It's gonna do a lot of reasoning in their cloud server around how to fulfill that request. And what's cool is it's very smart. So O3 Pro, I think, might be a better coder than Claude, but it's because I'm not very good at coding, I don't know how to use it. So what I do is after it writes a new code, I copy it, I paste it back into Claude because Claude runs it in the chat. So even though I know ChatGPT, actually this current version as of whatever day we're on right now, even though I know it's a better coder, it doesn't visualize that code. So that's why I still have to copy it and paste it back into Claude just so I can visualize this app that it made. If someone has a coding background, they can use this I would recommend just using this. But if you don't have a coding background like me, maybe use Claude, because then it can help you visualize the app ideas that you have, pretty seamlessly. So I'm just waiting for the AI to finish processing that request, improving my entire code base for my app. I told ChatGPT that it's going to be a 10x coder. I heard someone say that if you tell it that, it performs better, writes better code. So that's what we're doing. We're just waiting for it to finish. Okay, and it's focusing on stuff. What's cool is it tells us up here what it's doing. So it says, okay, I'm refactoring the code to add new functionality to enhance the UX spacing. This involves using render mode variable, event listeners, and modularizing functions for a more organized structure. Wanting to focus. Creating concise code for rendering plain meshes, emphasizing solid face rendering, considering M key to cycle modes, not aiming for complexity or filler content. Cool, so it kind of just tells you at a high level what it's doing. So right now it's not even writing code yet. It's still like processing all of this app that we wrote. By we, I mean I vibe coded it with Claude. But if you were a coder, you could take all this and make more sense of it and do cool stuff. But all of this app, I can't process. I have AI that writes apps for me based off of the ideas that I have, and then we collaboratively make cool things. So let's just wait for it to finish coding. It's a lot of code here. Okay, I'm just gonna go to the bottom. Boop. All right, it's still functioning, doing its thing. So yeah, when I'm waiting for stuff to code, I usually go and play piano, maybe go draw, do something else, go outside. It's gonna take a little bit, so I'm gonna go back to playing some keys. Don't mind me. for the app to code, so I'll keep playing until it's done. It's about 85% done. Dang, the app is still coding itself right now, so we gotta wait for the code to finish, and I'll just keep playing until it's done. All right, still waiting for the code. It's taking quite a while. It just says wanting to focus. Okay, cool. It looks like the app finished. Oh wow, but it put it into a bunch of sections. Can you write the whole new code base all together? Okay, we're back to coding with AI. There we go. All right, so now I have ChatGPT writing out all the code that it suggested so that this will essentially push out a new app. Oh, did we hit the limit? It's only 159 lines of code. That looks like it's oh, there's a preview. Wait, this is new. This is a new feature they just added to ChatGPT right now. New, preview your output. Run your code to see how it works and interact with your output? You're kidding. Oh my God. Wait, this is awesome. I've just been using, wow. I have just been using Claude because it had the ability to visualize, but now it looks like ChatGPT just added a visualizer. Wait, this is super, super sick. Wow, 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 wow. Okay, the fact that this is running the code is a big deal to me because that was you just saw it live, folks. Normally I would just use Claude to run my code, but now it looks like ChatGPT can run code. That's insane. That wasn't here earlier today, at least for me. Cool. All right, well then the next function, what I'm gonna do is grab this code and ask the Claude app to add this to the code base somehow. So how do I copy this? Is there a copy code section? Oh, clicked the wrong button. I don't know how to copy this code. All right, we'll just copy it manually. There we go. All right, then we'll go to Claude, and then I'll say, hey, Claude, this is the new features I added. Hey, Claude, can you add this new code snippets to our app? Great. All right, so now we're adding it, hopefully, to Claude. Okay, Claude's processing that new data. It looks like it froze. Normally this would be animating, but I think we just froze Claude. Claude just broke. Let me refresh Claude's brain. Oh wow, it's still frozen. Jeez. Okay. Let's close the viewport entirely, and then let's open up a new browser, and then let's see if Claude still remembers where we left off. Checking the code base. Damn, it's still frozen. Okay, there it goes. It's working now. Claude's working. It's magic. I'll integrate the shading modes. Okay, great. It says I'll integrate the shading modes from the provided code into our existing 3D grid visualizer. This will add solid rendering capabilities with lighting options. Yes. All right, cool. Now my app is being rewritten. So now this is officially a collaboration between two AIs and one human. I used Claude for the bulk of this app. Then we used ChatGPT o3 Pro mode to kind of add the shader function. And then I put that code back into Claude, and now Claude's reintegrating the code from Chat to make a new version of the app. We're on version 70. Oh, just kidding. It just tested version 70. It ran into errors, so then it just made a new version, version 71. And that's a new feature they added with Claude is as it runs into errors, it will keep making new versions until it doesn't have an error. So before this feature, what I would do is if I got an error, since I can't code, I would just screenshot the error and paste the image of the error back into Claude, and then Claude would be like, oh, that's your problem. Got it. And then it would make a new revision. Now they just added that feature into its brain so that when it hits a snag with its code base, it goes and checks the error and then it tries to fix the error. So nuts. That's where we're at today. So now hopefully we've added the new shader logic so that we can now render solids in our 3D app. I think we're several hundred lines of code now, and it runs in the browser. So hopefully this works. I haven't tried the integration yet. It says it's on version 74, so it definitely ran into a couple of errors. Oh, we're on version 75. We got another errors on version 74. So let's see. Oh, there we go. Let's see what we got. Okay, so far, oh, it crashed. No worries. Let's refresh the whole app. I'll go back to the latest artifact. Let's take a look. It's in a book. Looks like the code is broken. I don't know if it is broken or not. So what I'm going to do is copy the chat, close it, restart Chrome. Because for some reason this has been working today to restart the Chrome browser entirely. So let's restart my Chrome browser. All right, and then paste the link to the original code base. And then we'll run the code in the artifacts feature. Let's see if it's still broken. Okay, looks like it is still broken. That's a bummer. So close. Let's try version 74. Is that one broken? Yep, version 70. Is 70 broken? Oh, 70 works. But does the shading tab work? Let's see, we have wireframe, we have edges only, we have solid. I see, so the shading matrix doesn't work. So then I think it was trying to fix that and then it broke something else in that process. Let's see. But yeah, this is an app that I built today with Claude. And it has some cool features, certainly, but it also is fairly broken right now. What to do? Let's
turn on our orthographic camera mode. Okay. Cool. And then let's add some visual effects randomness. Cool. Ooh, that's pretty pulse. Oh, it's gone. Okay, just trying some different versions of my code. Great, and then we have our scan line. Let's set it from green to red. And then for the box color, let's set this to bright yellow. Great. And then for the edge color, let's set this to a brighter, easier to see, like cyan looking thing. And then for the vertex color, let's set these to maybe white. And then we'll go to the vertex size. Okay, cool. And then let's go to our continuous loop motion, enable vertex animation. And then let's add some particles. Increase the particle speed. Great, and now we're adding our auto rotation. Let's try to rotate on the y-axis. Oh, I missed. I should have a reset rotation button. I didn't add that. Just off by a second. It's hard to get this timed right. And stop. I missed it just by a little bit. Let's rotate on all the axes. Let's increase the particles, give them a slightly shorter lifespan, faster speed. Particle size, let's go to a little bit smaller. There we go. Great, so we just made this entire app. Oh, I think I just crashed it by moving that console message. Okay, don't click the console button, it's gonna break it. And then we got our, oh, thank you so much, Michael. And then we got our loop duration set to 6 seconds. Don't know what that's referring to. I don't know what this spiral is. Is this the motion of the vertexes? I can't tell. Let's collapse that. We have our ripple animation set to every 5 seconds. Let's increase the pulse. Ooh, that's cool. Let's reduce the intensity of that. And reduce the noise scaling. Okay. Cool. What are you cooking up? So I made this app where I'm screen recording it, and then I bring it into After Effects, and I add all my particle effects to it. And I've been creating all of these cool loading screen particle animations, all from my Claude code. And so all of these I made in Claude, and then I applied like VHS filtering on top of them to make them look like different, textures. And so I'm just exploring all those possibilities. And so I kind of build it out in Claude first, and then I I build out in Claude, screen record, and then I take that screen recording and add effects to it in After Effects. And it's so bizarre that this works at all. Like, I really don't understand how this works so effectively. It's kind of blowing my mind, and that's what I'm doing. All right, I'm gonna add a layer rotation reset because that's what I think I'm missing, that functionality. So I'm gonna ask the AI to rewrite the part of the code that resets the rotation. Yes, it is like Touch Designer, but I have used Touch Designer. It's a bit too steep of a learning curve for me. At least now that I use a lot of AI tools, you can do this kind of stuff inside of Touch Designer. But for me, I just needed a retro graphics maker. And it was easier for me just to use this AI pipeline to make retro graphics. I need a tool that resets the layer rotations in the layer rotation section back to neutral 0, 0, 0 with a single tap. Or it can, yeah, let's just do that. Okay, so now it's going to rewrite the code just so we have the ability to reset the rotation. Whoa, so bright. Cool, so I'm just going to wait for Claude to rewrite its code. Let's take a look at what it's doing. It's thinking about rewriting. It's adding new lines. It's testing some of these theories out. Looks like we got an error. Oh, it crashed. Let's refresh it and see if it is a true crash or if it's redeemable. Okay, it looks like it was a real crash. Yeah, none of the app is working now. Are you finding Claude to be more effective than chat? For certain things, yes. I use them both. It's tough because they keep every app company right now keeps outdoing each other with a new update. So, I mean, what I'm going to say now is right now I like using Claude more, and then you ask a week from now, I'm going to say I like using ChatGPT more. It's really conflicting. It really just depends on the week. It's really that fast now. I can't really stick with any one recommendation any longer than a week at this point because everything changes in a week. So this week I like Claude for coding. Next week I might like ChatGPT or Gemini or maybe some other competitor who comes out and makes a better functionality than these. Okay, we're running into some errors here, so let me see if I can fix this. Can you simplify the app so that it works again? Right now, I'm getting this error. It says uncaught error, uncaught syntax error, unexpected token, if. Yeah, Claude's better for some stuff, like I like using it for coding, but Claude's not great when I want to brainstorm an idea with voice. So maybe I like the interface a bit more on ChatGPT, but I like the brains more of Claude in more ways than not. But it is cool that it said, yeah, I can't believe I was able to make all of these with Claude. I mean, that's kind of absurd to me. Because normally, graphics like this, I would have to make in my, more complicated tools, and now I can actually make this kind of stuff with Claude, which is absurd. I just want to add one more up at the top there to kind of wrap it up. Oh, weird. What's this? Looks like I screwed up something here. Yeah, all of these were coded. I made all these with Claude, and then I did some effects on it in After Effects. For techies and analytical, would be interested if Claude could code directly with Niagara particle effects. You could. If they have if someone's made a MCP for Unreal Engine, you could do that. Yeah. MCP model is, I think you already know, but it stands for Model Context Protocol for those that don't know. And it gives you the ability to have Claude control your computer with a protocol. I haven't enabled it yet because I'm not sure if I trust everything that it does. It can write code to your server, to your computer. It can go into the terminal and modify the computer's brain. So I haven't used it for my main computer. But if you have any other machines that you don't mind accidentally frying, use Claude Code to change the code of your computer. And it can access those files, and you can hook it up to something like Unreal Engine or Unity, or Blender. Just see if just check if Unreal Engine has a model context protocol. Oh, the app crashed again. Let's go ahead and refresh. It looks like it's really broken. Let me go back to version 70, at least when it still worked. That's pretty cool. Whoa, that's really cool. Kind of trippy. Whoa, that's really nice. Dope, keep up the good work. Always nice to see what you are making. Oh, thanks for jumping into the stream. I really appreciate that. Wish I can get to a wireframe mode. All right, let's play with the scan line. Let's go ahead and turn on scan line effect. Right now it's green. I'm gonna set this to white. Oh, but then the white kind of turns blue. Let's see, what is the closest thing? What happens if I set it to black? Oh, that's cool. It just sends like this pulse of blackness into here. Let's play with the ripple speed. Maybe slow it down a little bit more. Maybe I'll play with that ripple amplitude. How do I get the scan? Oh, there's scan speed. Let's slow down the scan speed. There we go. And then scan width. Let's make it a little bit wider. That's cool. Maybe even wider than that. Whoa, that's trippy. I don't know why it keeps blinking though. Maybe I'll play with that ripple speed. Turn off ripple speed. Turn off pulse. Oh, whoa. Without the pulse, it's just like too even. Whoa, that's a trip. Okay, so now we made this amplitude there. I'm going to rotate the object 45 degrees in perspective. Oops, there we go. And then let's push out the camera zoom. Oh, it's set to free cam. Let's do top view, right view. Okay, and then rotate on the X. Ooh, that's interesting. Let's go to that vertex size and reduce that vertex size so we can actually see those points. Great. Then we'll go to the bounding samples. Play with the horizontal. Let's set this scan width to be really wide here. Okay, and then we'll go to the ripple pulse. That gives us all those new colors. Whoa, there's a noise scale. That's kind of cool. You can create some really cool particle effects this way. We'll go to our gradient spread and increase it so we get even more gradient turbulence. And then we'll go to that scan width. Set the scan speed to 0.7 so they kind of match each other. There you go. So they kind of sync up a little bit better now. And then we'll go to auto rotation. Let's see. Gradient spread. If I reduce gradient spread, oh, I see. Wish I could control the colors separately than the position of the objects. It's interesting that there's not really an in-between, but that's my bad. Oh, let's show the edges. Whoa, that's cool. Whoa. That's freaking awesome. Let's set this to maybe bright yellow so that it kind of creates like a hot effect in other areas. Let's get a little bit warmer yellow there. And then for the solid opacity, let's go to the show bounding box. Okay, got it. And go to the scan color, which is currently set to black. Let me see what happens if I set it to white. Whoa. I'm gonna go back to setting it to black. Let's make the scan width a little bit thinner. Maybe a little bit wider. Change the scan speed to 0.7 or 0.1. Great, maybe too slow. Let's go a little bit faster. Too fast on the scan, too slow, somewhere in between. Go back to 0.7. Wow, that's so cool. All right, let's go ahead and rotate the zoom. Switch it to orthographic. And then I'll play with the rotation. Let's go to 45, or I guess, yeah, what's that? Oh, 135 degrees. That's kind of cool. Maybe a little bit more, open it up a little bit like that. That's kind of interesting pattern. Let's turn down the layer spacing. Oops. Whoa. Okay, so that's just one. Let's play with the depth. Okay, so now there's less polygons. Let's increase that polygons. Let's go to the height of this object, decrease the height. Go to the width of the object. Okay, and then let's go to the density. All right, and then let's go to the width again. Grid density, bring it down. Let's go to the zoom. Zoom out a little bit. Okay, and go to the bounding box. Playing with the scan lines. Set it to 0.7. There we go. So just increase the ripple speed. Let's play with the ripple amplitude. Whoa, that's trippy. All right, so just set the ripple speed to be the same as the pulse. Let's go to enable pulse. And we'll set this to, I don't know, 0. Whoa. Whoa, that's cool. Just added the Y rotation. Let's increase that speed. All right, increase that Y rotation. Cool, and now we'll go ahead and record the screen. So let's hide the controller. Go to screen record. Since I don't know how to export video out of Claude, I just record the screen so that I can bring this into Adobe After Effects, where I can add other effects like motion blur and all that stuff. So with the screen record ready, we just hit the record button. And now we're just letting it spin and we're recording the screen, and we'll take that and bring it into Adobe After Effects, and then we'll add I might add motion blur on this one, and I might add some more glowing effects. But cool, I think we got a good recording. So let's go ahead and stop that recording up at the top. Great. Let's show our controls again. I'm gonna also, same recording, I'm just gonna keep it a little bit less noisy. Turn off the pulse effect, because I think this looks like a cool graphic too with it all like normal. So let's hide the controls, bring back screen recording, and we're gonna record this as well. Hitting 3, 2, 1. All right, so now we're recording the screen without all of the noise deformations on this object. So we're getting this new recording. I just love kind of looks like an eyeball shape. I just think it looks so cool. So I wanna record that screen as well. So I have it. Think we're good. I will go ahead and end that recording. And then let's bring back the controls. While we're here, let's play with that ripple speed. There we go. And let's go to that rotational speed and send it the other direction. Or maybe even send it at 0 for no rotation. And let's see what a Z rotation would look like. That's cool. All right, so let's go ahead and record that as well. Hide the controls, go to screen record, and recording in 3, 2, 1. So I'm just gonna let that object kind of spin around for a little bit, waiting for the full rotation. And once it's done, we'll hit the end recording. So I think that's about good. I think that went around a full 360. So we'll go ahead and hit the stop button there. Great. And then let's show back our controls. Let's turn on the Y rotation and the X rotation. Whoa, it's very mesmerizing. My brain is tripping out on that. We're gonna go to the very top and increase the number of segments by going to the density. All right, so I just increased the number of segments. We're gonna switch it to a cube. Whoa. I'm gonna reduce the density, actually, it's too many. All right, so it's a really low density one. Let's try randomizing different objects here, just see what they look like. Whoa, that's cool. Whoa, 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 whoa. Just hitting the randomize here on the different objects, getting all sorts of different appearances. Love it. Whoa, that's cool. Whoa. Wow, I can't believe I made this app that does this. I can use this to create all sorts of visualizers. we got some comments in the chat. Let me read the comments. We got a question from Electric says, what model agent are you using to build your tool? Just curious. I used Claude and ChatGPT to build this tool. Michael says, Austin, thanks for sharing. I need to roll. Oh, well, thanks for coming by. Let's play with the height here and the width. Wow, look at that. That's freaking awesome. All right, let's go ahead and record that as well. So I'm gonna hide controls, go to screen record, and record the screen in 3, 2, 1. Great, so now we're just recording this motion. Okay, so we got that recording made. Oops, great. All right, let's bring these recordings into After Effects, where we're gonna take it up to the next level with some effects. So I'm gonna go to our effect tool and jump into After Effects. We're gonna bring in all four of those recordings. That was the first one. And we're recording this to 1. So great, some thin. I'll bring all 4 of these into After Effects. I'm gonna color code them slightly differently. Okay, take this first one and bring it in. Top layer, we're gonna hide the audio, and then we'll zoom out. Okay. There we go. Let's take a look at this animation. All right, looks good. And we're gonna try to see if we can get it to be in the perfect shape again. I think right there is around the same brightness as the beginning. All right, so there's the animation. Now we're going to combine the visual effects from earlier. The really cool VHS kind of glow. All right, there we go. We added our VHS glow. And now we're going to adjust some parameters like the glowing radius and the brightness, and play with the edge detection. Okay, let's take a look. Takes a little bit of time to load. That looks pretty cool. Awesome. And now we got that cool brand new animation. Add it to the mix. Takes a second to load. Cool. And so now we have this new animation made. It's looking pretty good. All right, looking good. I'll just go ahead and export this one. So go to export Adobe After Effects, and this will be, I forgot which version. This is number 9. So we made all these animations today using different, we used the same AI tool. We built a tool to animate, and then we use After Effects to apply glowing presets to that visual to create these like retro graphics or retro inspired graphics. And now that that's running, we can go back to our tool. Whoa, that's really cool. I would like more primitive options, including triangles and polygons with n number of sides, with a slider to control the number of ends, the number of sides for the value n. A little bit of algebra there. Okay, cool. Looks like that one's done exporting. Oh, almost done exporting. Cool. But I think you get the idea. You can kind of mix and match these tools to make all sorts of things. And yeah. So thank you all so much for tuning in to Creativity with Don Allen III Live. I'm going to end the stream now. I don't know how long we've been streaming for, but I'm about wrapped up here. And I'll see you all in the next one. Yeah, go play with Claude and ChatGPT and go make some cool stuff. All right, bye-bye.